everyone, hope you're ready for Christmas. So we're here today to make the honeycomb ornament. You can see that I made here. In your bags you will have the paper, use just an old book, some sheet music. If you don't have an old book and you want to do it, you can print some sheet music off on the computer and just make sure that it's double-sided. You can also use different color cardstock or scrapbook paper if you want different designs and different colors in it. So just kind of experiment with it and see how it goes. You also have a pattern in instructions in your bag. There is, in addition to the circle, there's another pattern for two different types or styles of the honeycomb. So I'll kind of explain. It's the same process, just a different shape. So I'll explain as we go. So what I did first was I cut out the circle and traced it onto my paper, and I cut out, I used 20 of the circles, but it depends on how much space you want in between. You can see here there's a lot more space. This one has 20, this one has 20. And then I'll show you the other one I did, and maybe you can see the difference, hopefully. But you can see as we pull that around, the openings are going to be a little bit bigger, and this one has 17. So you can kind of play with it and see what you think. So we're going to go ahead and cut the circle out, cut our papers out. I went ahead and did that, so I have my papers here. Then you can see there are numbers and lines in different colors. So that's going to be where we want to glue. Now, you can do an epic fail like I did with a glue stick. That didn't work. You have glue pens in your bags, but I just used Elmer's glue, which seemed to work pretty well as well. It didn't get too, I thought maybe it would be too wet, but it's not. So I got my circles. All I'm going to do is fold them in half. And again, you're not going to really be able to read this. It's just more of for a design on the paper. So if it's not exactly straight, you'll be fine with that. No one will really notice. So I fold them up. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started gluing. So what I'm going to do, let me fold this in half so you can see better. All right. So now I have my half circle. So after you cut your pattern out, save this paper because you will need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my circle on this dotted line. So the fold is now going to be on this dotted line. And then I'm going to start gluing. Now I'm going to start with the inside. And so you have to remember where you're at as far as your gluing goes. It was a little bit easier once I got going, but I try to put my circle in the middle. Once I get started with one, then it's easier to match up. So I'm going to take my glue, and on the inside, I'm going to glue straight down the line from the top, from the fold down to the line. So make sure you go in a straight line as much as possible, and make sure that you stay as even as possible. That's really important if you want your the spaces in between to match. So that's really important. So once you get the glue on the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real fast. And get everything all lined up. And I glue. Alright, hopefully you can see this. So now you see where I put the glue straight down the line and it matches. So both of the number ones is where I'm gluing. Then I'm going to fold it over so that the glue sticks those pieces together. So for the next one, before I add my next paper, I want to glue on the number 2s. So number 1's on the inside, 2's on the outside. And I'll go ahead and add just a bead of glue as we go along. So there you have the glue on the number 2, and I'm going to take my next paper and match up the folds so that hopefully when we get finished, all of the folds will match up and all of the glue will be exactly where you need it to be. Alright, so now we have our papers together, and you'll just continue to do this on the 1s on the inside and then glue the 2s on the outside. And you'll just continue to stack your papers until you get a stack about like this. Now, I used, when I got finished, I went ahead and put a little bit of glue right on the edge here, just trying to get these to stick together. And I just used, for this, I just used some Elmer's and tried to stick it together and then let it dry. Put some binder clips on it so it would dry pretty well. Now this one I've done already, so it won't need to dry as much, but I let this dry, I don't know, a few hours. It doesn't have to be overnight or anything, but that way your glue has a chance to set up and you won't have to worry so much. So once it gets going, then you're going to want to open up a little bit. Now sometimes I had trouble with them sticking together, so I had to make sure that I peeled them apart a little bit. I kind of had to, it was easier for me to grab the center part where it was open, and then that way I could figure out, okay, what was supposed to be stuck where. So that was a little confusing. So I ended up getting everything unstuck where it needed to be. Everything was sealed like it was supposed to be. Then I used, you'll have a ribbon inside, different colors, so you can make them different colors. You can match, if you're using scrapbook paper, you can do that. So I just took my piece of ribbon, folded it in half, so I had a loop on the end. And then I glued it just here to the side of my papers. Doesn't have to be too far in, just enough for it to catch so that it'll hold in place. So I glued mine in. Make sure you glue both ends in there together. So now I got that going. Now when I'm finished, remember the 2s were on the outside. So when I open this up, I will want to run some glue here. 2s on the outside. So I'll go ahead and run my glue down where the number 2 is, down the center. And then that will help me line things up. So I have get a hold of it here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and move it around. This is the hard part, so I'm going to make sure that I can attach these. I have it where I can attach the pieces together on the back side. Yeah. And sometimes you need more than one hand, so it's good to have, I use binder clips on mine because I didn't have enough hands and fingers and toes and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead, you could also use paper clips if you don't have the binder clips, so it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and stick my ribbon back in there. If I don't, I won't have any way to hold it. So let's make sure that we get that back inside. And again, this was just a trial and error. Hopefully it will do all right for you. Alright, so I have a couple pieces that are sticking. You can see as it's coming loose, and part of that's because I have the binder clip on it and the weight is pulling it. But you can also, if you get to that point, you can also run just a bead of glue down there and stick them together, and that will help. Alright, so once you get it glued in place, you can go ahead and put some binder clips on it, or paper clips work better in some instances. So we'll get that binder clip on there and get it stuck in place, but there you have your ornament. So it works out pretty well. I went ahead and glued mine together. You'll see in this final one I did, I glued everything together, and it's there's the bottom of it. So there you go. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and if you have any questions, always feel free to contact us at the library. Thanks. Have a great day.